questions after that. Coach?
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. 2 pretty good days of practice. Worked out some of the areas on both ends of the floor that we need to continue to improve. Worked a lot on some end-of-game situations. We had some malfunctions against South Carolina, end of regulation, end of the first and second overtime, with some things that we wanted to execute. But we've all gotten on the same page. One of the epic games of the year against South Carolina, but that's not going to do us any good against our talented Kentucky team. Their 7 or 8 man rotation is probably as good as any rotation in the country. That's why they're ranked. They've won some big games. They've lost some close games. They've done a great job of representing the SEC from a basketball standpoint for a long time. So this is a great opportunity for us to play well, defend our home court, which we haven't done a great job of. We've been a better road team overall. So there's a lot of opportunities to be had on tomorrow. We'll just see, what happens, and really I want to just see what type of team shows up from Alabama. Is it going to be the team that thinks they're the hunters and the hungry team, or the team that plays on their heels and sometimes act like they don't know what to do or where to go? So we'll see which team shows up.
Thank you, Coach. We'll go ahead and start with questions. Alex, here on the right.
You touched on it a little bit, but just looking at the first 6 or so games on the road and home, what's been the key to the success on the road, do you think, for this team? That y'all been able to pull off some Georgia, South Carolina, some of the games that you've had on the road?
It's our temperature, as Dr. Kevin Elko talks about. It's our temperature early in the game. It's not late, all right? But our attitude late in the game, we've been focused, we've been fighters, we've been on the attack, we've been smart. Not perfect, but we've been smart. And we've taken pretty good care of the ball. In the games where we're not successful, we get trapped, we don't know where to throw the ball, we get stripped, we don't get our defense set. So there's no in between with our team. Yeah, there's no in between. It's the team that played at Arkansas, the team that lost at home the last time here, or the team that won at Georgia and won at South Carolina. There's no in between.
And given the fact that Kentucky travels so well, and they've been known to bring a lot of fans here in the past as well, another sellout. I mean, can you kind of carry over? Do you feel like there's anything you can, treat this game a little bit maybe like a road game, given the scenario, the potential for kind of a 50-50 crowd maybe? Right.
Without going into any details, we've changed our whole routine in terms of what we're doing today as it relates to a home game, and it'll be that way for the rest of the home game. So it's just a change in routine. It's between me and the team. But we've had to change up a couple of things. I think that's coaching. It's not always X's and O's or when to call a timeout or who to sub. It's kind of knowing the temperature and pulse of your team. So we've changed some things, but we'll see what happens.
Left side, Michael.
Is that a new change? Just this week?
Yes.
Before in South Carolina?
No.
Since then?
Today.
Okay.
In preparations for a home game.
Okay.
Yeah, but also before South Carolina, there was also a change in the way we practice and the length of practice and the length of our video sessions. We changed that also.
What was different? Was it shorter, longer?
Long, marathon.
In practice?
Video and practice, marathon, not a sprint.
Okay. And so then you guys played a 4 overtime game after?
It looked like we had enough energy to play another 4 overtimes. So just trying to figure those things out about our team.
And just what was it like after that game? I guess in terms of the energy. I guess the next day with the team, you guys practice.
Next day was a scheduled off day on Wednesday, so it was just more of a day to recover and hydrate our guys. Fortunately, nobody on our team except for Armand at the very end cramped. I think maybe they had 2 or 3 guys. We've experienced another team coming in our building that we we were successful against, had a couple of guys cramp, but we put a lot into our hydration test. That's a big thing with Clark, our athletic trainer, and Kristen, our nutritionist, Lou, our strength and conditioning coach. Those guys, they do a lot behind the scenes with our guys to get them ready for a game. And tomorrow we better be hydrated because Kentucky loves to get up and down the floor. They're the fastest team from point A to point B that we've seen this year. Their first 2 or 3 steps are pretty fast, so we got to get back on defense, get our defense set. But at the same time, I like to see us run a little bit more and play a little bit more up-tempo, which we tried to do in our last game.
Stay on the left side, we'll go to Cecil.
Coach Shannon was able to get back in the lineup for the South Carolina game. Got 6 rebounds, got to the free throw line several times. I guess lost his composure in a late game situation, but overall, what did you feel like about his contributions?
Gave us a few minutes, quality minutes. The technical was what we call a non-negotiable. That's not going to happen again. He understands that just can't happen. That's a non-negotiable. We love the effort. Shannon did a great job. He took a charge in transition, got a big rebound on a huge possession for us. So, it may not be 20 minutes every night because it was a 4 overtime game, but you saw him, he got in the game pretty early. That was scheduled. And, I think he contributed. If he can make a few shots for us, that takes us to another level. And he was 6 for 8 from the free throw line. So he's got a good-looking free throw. We just needed to go in. But his attitude was good. He had practiced pretty hard the 2 days prior to that game. We gave him some extra reps in practice, and he responded.
Let's go to the right side, Tony.
If players seem to play better with their backs against the wall, why do you think that is? And then how do you harness that for when they don't necessarily have their backs against the wall?
Yeah, that's a great question, Tony. I think part of what we do as coaches, we're counselors, we're psychologists, we're teachers, we're big brothers and father figures, and you just got to figure out the right buttons to push because we're not dealing with robots, they're human beings, and they want to play the right way. I just think league-wide in the SEC, if you guys just take a look at the league, there have been a lot of teams that just went on the road, and I don't know if the home teams can't handle the pressure of potentially being the favorite. And when they go on the road, it's maybe not as much pressure because they seem to think they're an underdog. So I've explained to our team, let's just play the underdog role for the rest of the year and let's see what happens.
Stay on the right side, Alex.
Both the players were talking about the players-only team meeting they had prior to the South Carolina game. What do you know about kind of what, and the fact that there were 2 first-year guys, that Armand and Corbin were apparently behind that?
The great thing about it, Alex, one, and I would say this is kind of 1A, I didn't know anything about it until it was brought up at the media session post-game. That was great. So that shows that we have some leadership. And 2, whatever they talked about, it carried over and onto the floor. And I just like that type of leadership. So it's not like I said, hey guys, you should have a team meeting. Go talk about something. They did it on their own. I think they understood the 2 practices that we had prior to South Carolina, that this is serious business, and we got to play like men. And we have to be the aggressors, smart aggressors.
Secondly, I wanted to ask, Coach Cal mentioned today in his presser too, but how much have y'all focused on that Florida game against Kentucky and kind of what they do well, what they were able to do in that game to maybe carry over to this one?
Most of the time when we get ready for a team, we'll probably watch 10 of their games. And of course, we're going to probably watch their last 5 games. We'll watch games in conference, we'll watch games out of conference. But sometimes you can't always, it's not like a magic wand where you can take a team and duplicate what the other team does if you don't have their talent. So a lot of times people can say, okay, let's see if we can beat the New England Patriots like some team did during the regular season and apply that same exact strategy. Well, sometimes if you can have that type of talent, maybe you can get away with certain situations. or leadership or whatever it is. But everything is on the board for us, everything is on the table, whether it's their loss against Kansas or Florida or at Tennessee. And you evaluate all those situations, but you also look at, why were they successful against LSU or Arkansas? So we look at everything. We have a pretty extensive scouting routine here. And it's probably as detailed as, we would compare it to the way another team prepares, it's probably as detailed as any scouting report in the country.
Let's do a couple more questions, starting with Michael.
You guys seem like you've been very switching up the lineups and different combinations. You haven't seen Armand in a while, and he steps up a big time. I mean, what's that dynamic like to have that many different kind of lineup changes throughout the season?
Well, Mike, I think it's part of trust. And a lot of times a player wants to participate in a game and help his team, but if for a month or 6 weeks at a time, they consistently get it wrong in practice, then you don't really have that trust level maybe to put them in the game. But as that trust factor improves and they improve in practice, and at the end of the Auburn game, I thought Armand gave us some quality minutes, and then he carried it over into practice even more. Probably had one or two of his best practices of the year. I saw some maturity. So, in talking to the coaches, I had planned on playing him 15 to 17 minutes that game, and obviously he played a lot more than that. But he's grown. When a kid comes from junior college, we instantly think that he's a true junior. Not necessarily. There's a lot of room for growth.
Any other questions for Coach? That's the last question right here with Alex.
You said this multiple times. I just kind of want the hunted or the hunted, being the hunter or the hunted.
Right.
In your eyes, how do you kind of achieve that mindset? Because even Riley was talking about the mindset going into these kind of games that you have to kind of develop, off the court a little bit. How do you kind of create that?
Well, the main thing is, I think part of it is you don't want to ever think you're like the Bad News Bears, right? That's a different deal, all right? Or the Washington Generals, okay? But I think you got to be confident. You got to plan on always being in attack mode wherever you are on the floor. You're never the recipient. You're always aggressively, smart, legally trying to attack and be in the right position. We always talk about do your job, and I know a lot of times in college people don't like to talk about that because it's not professional sports, but each one of our guys have a job on a particular play, whether it's transition defense, transition offense, setting a screen on offense, inbounding the ball, inbounding the basketball underneath or against a press. That's as critical as the guy receiving the ball or trying to get open. So whatever their particular job or assignment is, if they can do it to the best of their abilities consistently and try to help us minimize the success of our opponents and play to their weaknesses, then we have a chance. We already know how good De'Aaron Fox and Briscoe and Monk, we already know what they can do. If we allow them to consistently play to their strengths, it's not going to be a happy afternoon for us. But if we can minimize it, because they're still really good players, that's why they all go in first round in the draft, right? So if we can minimize it, just like we've done against some of the really terrific high-level players in our conference, then we'll have a chance. But man, this game should be fun. We should be running, getting our crowd into the game, and putting all of our chips in, just like we did in our last game. And if that happens, then that team that I'll see doing some of those timeouts, they'll be looking me in the eyes and they'll be fired up. And if they fall down, they'll get back up. If they make a mistake, they'll bounce back. That's the type of look I saw in our team's eyes in our last game. I know that's a long answer, but that's the only one I had.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.